What is going on, everybody? Today I'll be doing my 2020 NFL mock draft, all 7 rounds, version 3.0. If you have not checked out my 2.0 and 1.0, link will be down in the description box below. Please go check those out. If you have not already, please like the video and subscribe, of course, for more 7-round mock drafts like these. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. So, the San Francisco 49ers with the 31st pick select Jeff Gladney, cornerback. I really like Jeff Gladney. I think he's a perfect fit for the San Francisco 49ers team who could use a corner like Jeff Gladney. He's really a beast and great at not letting wide receivers get the ball. J.R. Reed, safety, again adding depth to that secondary position. Tommy Kramer, interior offensive lineman, great. He's a pretty solid interior offensive lineman. I think he'd help out the San Francisco 49ers team a lot. Muhammad Berry, a solid linebacker. Juwan Jennings did very well in college. I think that he could carry that over into the NFL. And then John Runyon, just again adding depth to that offensive tackle position. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the 14th pick select Javon, Kinlaw, interior defensive lineman. I really like Javon Kinlaw. I think he's perfect for a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who really need a run stopper and someone who's also pretty solid at getting to the quarterback. I think he'll add some electricness to this weakened defense and really bring a spark to the team. Austin Jackson, offensive tackle. One of my favorite offensive tackles in this year's draft. He's just very solid, very trustworthy, very reliable. Just who Jameis Winston wants on his offensive line. Khalid, Kareem, very solid edge rusher. Cam Akers could be a running back 1 in the future. Terrell Burgess adding to that safety position. Then Stanford Samuels just again adding to that secondary. The Dolphins, who have I think the most picks in the draft. Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback. Really still a big question mark up until he could actually pick up a ball and we see what it's like and how he could play with that hip. But I still think the way he's played in college, he's proved to us why he could in fact be a franchise quarterback. So I think the Dolphins should and will take that risk on a quarterback like a Tua Tagovailoa. AJ Epenesa, very, very good edge rusher. I think he'll be very good in the NFL and give a boost to a defense that really needs one in the Dolphins. Josh Jones, a very solid offensive tackle. Lloyd Cushenberry, again, adding a big guy on that offensive line. Very good. Lloyd Cushenberry is very, very good. J.K. Dobbins, my number 2 running back. I think that he'll be electric in the NFL. I think he'll have a breakout season in the next couple of seasons and really prove to us why he is a top running back coming out of this year's draft. Ashtyn Davis, a very solid safety that somehow fell to pick 70, which is perfect for this Dolphins team, which really needs a boost in that secondary. Trajan, Bandy, again adding to that secondary, very good player. Shaquille, Quarterman, linebacker, did very well in college. I think he'll be a great replacement in that linebacker position. Collin Johnson, adding a wide receiver to take some pressure off of Devontae Parker. Tyler Clark, very big run stuffer. Then adding depth to that tight end position with Devin Asiasi. Sorry if I butchered that one. Then Levonta Taylor with the last pick in the draft. The Lions with the 3rd pick, Jeffrey Okudah, cornerback. I know there's some speculation about how they could take Tua Tagovailoa, they could take Isaiah Simmons, or they could just trade back and settle there. But I still haven't taken Jeffrey Okudah. Darius Slay, we don't know what's going to happen with him. And really that position is a position of need, and I think that Jeffrey Okudah, being the lockdown back he is just so reliable, and quarterbacks do not want to throw his way because of how good at locking down the wide receivers he is. He's just such a talented player that you don't see come out of the draft that often. Kenneth Murray, linebacker, such a solid pick at pick 35 if he's there. Darrell Taylor, a really good edge rusher, great at getting to the quarterback. Brandon Jones, their safety position needs some work. I think Brandon Jones could step in and be a very solid starter. John Simpson adding to that offensive line, which always needs work. Gabriel Davis, very good wide receiver, did very well in college. I think he could transfer that into the NFL. And then Anthony McFarland could be a running back too, and in the future maybe even a running back 1. The Baltimore Ravens, Patrick Queen, linebacker. He's on the smaller side of linebackers. Still really love Patrick Queen. I think he's a first-round talent and will do awesome in the NFL. Joshua Uche, edge rusher. Again, another player that's great getting to the quarterback, very talented at what he does. I think he's just going to add some electricness to this already really solid defense. Devon Hamilton, first 3 picks were going defense. I think he's a very solid run stuffer there. Then we'll go give Lamar Jackson option with Courtney Davis. Really impressed me with his film in college. I think that he's definitely a top wide receiver in this year's draft, and I think he's a steal at pick 119 for talent. I think he's going to be really solid on a team like the Ravens. Julian Blackmon, that safety position, could use depth. I think Julian Blackmon will add depth and give a very talented player in that safety position. And then Harrison Hands adding to that cornerback position, which always could use some depth and maybe a future star. The Tennessee Titans with the 29th pick, Julian Okwara, edge rusher. A lot of people sleeping on Julian Okwara. I just think that he's such a talented player. His stats in college do not prove how talented he actually is. I think he's going to blow up in the combine. He has the potential to be a top edge rusher in this league, and really, if you guys go look at his highlights, you'll really see how impressive of a player he actually is. With the 61st pick, Jonah Jackson, interior offensive lineman. Their offensive line needs some work, so I think Jonah Jackson could add some more of that younger presence to the offensive line, which would be good for the future. Cole Kmet, very solid tight end, could learn from Jonnu Smith, who I think is very solid. But I like Cole Kmet a lot. McTelvin Agim, interior defensive lineman. Very big run stuffer there. Scott France adding to that offensive line, which could always use work. Jaron Bryant, cornerback, and then Willie Gay Jr., linebacker, just adding to that defense. The Chicago Bears with the 43rd pick, Trayvon Diggs, cornerback. I really like Trayvon Diggs. At pick 43, I think that's right about where he should be. I really like him, and I think that he'd thrive on a team like the Chicago Bears with a pretty solid defense. Robert Hunt, interior offensive lineman, one of my favorite offensive linemen in this year's draft. He's just a very big guy, great at blocking, and really a leader on the team. I think he's perfect for the Chicago Bears team. Jared Pickney, tight end, very solid tight end, especially a position of need for the Chicago Bears team. Geno Stone, safety. I really like Geno Stone, especially as a later round pick. Kendall Coleman, edge, adding to that edge position. Calvin Throckmorton, adding to that offensive line. Then Steven Montez, because you always need a third or second string quarterback. Now, the Cardinals with the 8th pick select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver. I really like Jerry Jeudy, which is why I have him as my number 1 wide receiver in this year's draft. And the Cardinals need a very big wide receiver that stands out in the league, and I think that Jerry Jeudy could be that guy. Will be that guy. Kyler Murray, he's young. He needs that big option like a Jerry Jeudy, who's very reliable and could go up and bring down most of the balls thrown his way. I just think he's such a talented talent that they can't pass on at pick 8. Lucas Niang, offensive tackle, very good offensive tackle, definitely NFL ready. I think he'll be perfect on this Cardinals team. Marlon Davidson, very good run stuffer, also good at getting to the quarterback. Shane Lemieux, interior offensive lineman, again a very good pick here. He's a very good interior offensive lineman who I think could shine on this offensive line. Limical Perrine, could be a running back too, and then Michael Walker, a solid pick there at the linebacker position. The Eagles, Grant Delpit, safety. I like Grant Delpit. I think it's a perfect pick for the Eagles. They need help in that secondary, and I think Grant Delpit could add some of that young, energetic presence there. T. Higgins at pick 53, which is probably one of my biggest steals of the draft. I really like T. Higgins. I think that the Eagles would thrive with a player like him as their wide receiver, especially Carson Wentz would love to have a bigger player like a T. Higgins. Darnay Holmes, very solid cornerback. I think he could come in and start right away and be a very solid, hopefully lockdown corner. Marcus Bailey, linebacker, did a nice job in college. I think that he could come into the NFL, smooth transition, and just do what he did in college. Antoine Brooks, junior safety. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Antoine Brooks. Very, very good safety. Yeah, just another position of need for this Eagles team. Jonathan Garvin, edge rusher, great at getting to that quarterback. And then Keyshawn Val, just a running back 2 or 3. The Green Bay Packers with the 30th pick select KJ Hamler, wide receiver. I really like KJ Hamler. He's more of a slot wide receiver, which is what the Packers need. They already have a Devontae Adams who can take care of the outside. So I think that KJ Hamler, speedy, quick wide receiver like a Tyreek Hill, will be perfect for Aaron Rodgers. Isaiah Wilson to that offensive line, which could be a big need. We just have to wait and see how free agency pans out, but I think Isaiah Wilson could be a good pick there. Evan Weaver as a replacement for Blake Martinez if he does go. Adam Troutman as a young tight end. Lamar Jackson, very solid cornerback. Benito Jones, interior defensive lineman. I like him. He's a big run stuffer. Antonio Gandy-Golden, 2 wide receivers. I like Gandy-Golden. If he falls here, that is perfect. I think he'd be a great third option. He did great at Liberty. I think he'd carry that to the NFL. Darrell Williams buffing that offensive line, and then Darius Anderson as a running back 3 or 2 in the future. The Redskins, Chase Young, edge rusher, no question about that with the 2nd pick. Denzel Mims, wide receiver, great pick here. I love Denzel Mims. I think he could take over as a wide receiver 1 in the future for this team. Amik Robertson, very, very good cornerback. Did very well in college. Justin Herron, offensive tackle. Their offensive line is not good at all. Patrick Taylor, adding to that running back position, which needs a real spark. Geis is young but injury prone, and then Adrian Peterson is just old. With the 206 pick, Kobe Parkinson, tight end. Their tight end Jordan Reed left the team, so they're going to need a tight end. I think they'd assess that in free agency, but I'm going to give them someone like Kobe Parkinson there. The Vikings with the 25th pick, Neville Gallimore, interior defensive lineman. I like Neville Gallimore. I think he's a perfect fit for this team. Very good run stuffer there. AJ Terrell, cornerback position's another position of need for this team. I think if AJ Terrell's there, they have to take him. Trey Adams, I think he's a little underrated offensive tackle. He's very good. I think that he's a reliable guy for Kirk Cousins. Quintez Cephas, wide receiver, did very well in college. He could definitely carry that over to the NFL and be hopefully a star wide receiver in the future. Jared Hibblers, buffing out that offensive line, then going defense with these 2 picks, Shaheem Carter and TJ Brunson. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, quarterback. No question again about Joe Burrow. Obvious number 1 pick. They need a quarterback. And then pick 33, Justin Jefferson. I think that's a great combination right there. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, that's perfect. Then with Tyler Boyd, I think Justin Jefferson, Tyler Boyd, a great 1-2 punch. Jonathan Greenard, edge. I love Jonathan Greenard. I think he's perfect for a team like the Bengals to hopefully give him a real spark in that defense. Logan Sternberg, buffing out that offensive line, which needs someone like him. Kamal Martin, that linebacker position needs someone. I think he could take over easily. And then Terrence Steele, adding to that offensive line. And then Khalil Davis, a big run stuffer there. So I really like this Bengals draft. I think that they could really turn around their franchise in the future. The Chargers, Justin Herbert, quarterback. I still think Justin Herbert's the 3rd best quarterback in the draft. I think that he's perfect for this Chargers team in replacing a Phillip Rivers. Cesar Ruiz, interior offensive lineman. I love Cesar Ruiz. I think he's a perfect pick at pick 37. I think that's right where he should be. Shaquille Charles, offensive tackle. I like Shaquille Charles. I think just a very reliable big guy who could protect a Justin Herbert. Michael Ejamudier, cornerback, position of need. I think that Ejamudier could bring a very young, talented presence there. Eno Benjamin, a very solid running back. Maybe 2, whoever they re-sign in free agency, if it be Eckler or Gordon, or if they don't sign anyone, then I think they draft a running back higher. But I think Benjamin's a good pick for this team. Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, very solid wide receiver. I think he could be a wide receiver 2 or 3. And then Francis Bernard, linebacker. The Falcons, K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher. I really like K'Lavon Chaisson, very versatile, great against the quarterback. He's just such a talented player. Cameron Dantzler, cornerback, very talented cornerback. I think he could be a very good starting quarterback for this Falcons team. Justin Meadowbeek, interior defensive lineman, very big guy, one of my most underrated players in my opinion. I think that he's very, very good and he'll be a star in the NFL. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he could be the new replacement for Davante Adams, very quick, very good. Hakeem Adeniji, offensive tackle. He is a very big guy again. Hopefully he'd be great for protecting Matt Ryan. Joe Barchi Jr., that linebacker position is another big position of need. Hopefully he could come in and fill that position. And then adding to that tight end position, because Hooper has left the team, Albert Akinwengbaum. Sorry if I butchered that name, but yeah, I really like the Falcons draft, as I always give them a good draft. I just really like their picks, and I think they're going to be another team to watch out for in the future. The Panthers, with the 7th pick, select Derek Brown, interior defensive lineman. Again, another huge need, interior defensive lineman. I think that Derek Brown can not only fill that role, but add a huge spark that they are now going to miss with a Luke Kuechly. He gives some electricness to this defense, and I really think he's a big threat for quarterbacks and running backs in the future. With the 38th pick, Jacob Eason. I think Jacob Eason could be in the future their starting quarterback. I think he's a very talented player. Hopefully he could transfer that stuff they did in college to the NFL. Bryce Hall, very talented cornerback. Damian Lewis adding to their offensive line. Jordan Fuller, very good safety, adding to that secondary, which is very pretty weak. Michael Pittman, wide receiver. I really like Michael Pittman. I think that he's a very, very solid wide receiver. Did well at USC, and I think that hopefully he could carry that over into the NFL. Sui Alonilu, sorry if I butchered that name, running back. Just to be a running back 2 or 3 to Christian McCaffrey. He did pretty well in college. The Saints, with the 24th pick, Laviska Shenault Jr., wide receiver. I think they had to go up wide receiver with this pick. Michael Thomas can't just handle as much as he did last year. Laviska Shenault's going to add such a talented weapon to the wide receivers, and not only is he talented, I think that he could be a star in the future for the Saints team. Netane Muti, interior offensive lineman. Their offensive line needs help. I think Netane Muti could be a very solid starter. AJ Green, cornerback, adding to that cornerback position, which is kind of old. Jacob Phillips, linebacker, and then Anthony Gordon, because Drew Brees is going to retire in the next few years. I think Anthony Gordon could be a quarterback too, or just a placeholder until Drew Brees retires, and then they're going to do something with that quarterback position. The Bills select Yetur Gross-Matos, another player I think will shine a lot in the NFL. I really like Yetur Gross-Matos. I think he works out perfectly for this Bills team, which really needs a very electric edge rusher. I think he'll be perfect. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver, very fast wide receiver. I really like Brandon Ayuk, and he's just a wide receiver who Josh Allen would love as a target. Troy Pride, very good cornerback. Zach Moss as a running back too. Maybe even step up over Singletary. I don't see that happening this year, but maybe in the future. Bavion Roy, another run stuffer. Yazir Durant adding to that offensive line. Then going linebacker with Justin Stranad. Harrison Bryant, that tight end position, then Isaiah Hodges, give them another wide receiver there. I like Isaiah Hodges, so I think that he'll be a solid wide receiver 3 for the Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs, DeAndre Swift, running back. I've had him go DeAndre Swift in my last mock draft. I'm going to have him going with him again. They need that running back 1, that solid running back 1 who will solidify that running back position and also bring very fast, very agile player. I really like DeAndre Swift. He's my first running back off the board, and I think he's perfect for a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. Jalen Johnson, cornerback, a very talented cornerback. Akeem Davis-Gaither, a player that I like a lot in that linebacker position, which needs work. Kenny Wilkes, edge rusher. And then Javon Gyurdry, sorry if I butchered that one, safety, adding to that secondary position there. The Giants, my team, select Jedrick Wills with the 4th pick, offensive tackle. I see them going offensive tackle even if they trade back. I think that leads to us definitely getting an offensive tackle. I love Jedrick Wills. I think that if they need him to switch sides, he will flawlessly. And I just think that Daniel Jones needs a very reliable player in a Jedrick Wills. Also, Saquon Barkley will benefit off of this pick as well. So I think that it's a no-brainer. We have to go offensive tackle, no matter if it's Jedrick Wills or Andrew Thomas or even Mekhi Becton. So yeah, then the 36th pick, Zach Bond, edge rusher. I really like Zach Bond. He's actually very good in pass coverage, the number 1 edge rusher in pass coverage in college football. So I think he could hopefully transfer over very well and flawlessly into the NFL. Kayvon Wallace, a very solid safety, a position of need for this Giants team. David Woodward, the linebacker position, is another very big need. I think David Woodward could hopefully bring some of that young presence to that linebacker position. We need a wide receiver 2 or 3. I think Tyler Johnson is that pick, a little high, but I think that Tyler Johnson's perfect for the Giants. Lavert Hill, I like Lavert Hill. I think he's good for a cornerback position. And then Zach Shackelford adding to that offensive line, which is atrocious. The New England Patriots with the 23rd pick select Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle. He's a very talented offensive tackle who did very good in college. I think that he could transfer that to the NFL. He's very talented in run blocking too, downfield run blocking. Tristan Wirfs is a very talented player who I think will work perfectly with this New England team. Bryson Hopkins, tight end, is a position of need for this New England team. They haven't had a talented tight end since Rob Gronkowski, and I think that Bryson Hopkins is the perfect pick there. Jalen Hurts, quarterback. We don't know what's going to happen with Tom Brady, so I have them picking a quarterback semi-early in Jalen Hurts. I think that Bill Belichick could work his magic like he's done with many quarterbacks before, not only just Tom Brady, with a player like a Jalen Hurts. Michael Divinity, Jr., edge rusher, a talented edge rusher there. James Lynch, a run stuffer. Khalid Lipscomb, they haven't had a steady wide receiver 2, so hopefully he could just add some depth to that wide receiver position. Miles Dorn, safety, and then Gage Cervenka adding to that offensive line. The Seahawks with the 27th pick, Terrell Lewis, edge rusher, extremely talented edge rusher. I think he's going to do phenomenal in the NFL and bring that electric presence to the Seahawks defense, which could, of course, use an edge rusher. KJ Hill, wide receiver. A lot of people love KJ Hill. I can see why they like him. I think he's a very talented wide receiver, very quick, very good with has very good hands. I just think that he'd be a very solid slot wide receiver. They already have a big guy in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, but I think that KJ Hill could bring that speedy presence to the Seahawks, which Russell Wilson does not really have. Robert Hunt, interior offensive lineman. I really like Robert Hunt. I think that he'd be perfect in protecting Russell Wilson. Jack Driscoll, again, adding to that offensive line. And then Thaddeus Moss, son of Randy Moss, who did phenomenal in LSU. Could be their tight end 1, hopefully, in the future. The Broncos with the 15th pick select Henry Ruggs, the third wide receiver. Speedy, Tyreek Hill. It's plain and simple. Henry Ruggs is such a talented player that does not come out of the draft often at all. He's just so special, and I think that the Broncos would thrive with him on their team and a young quarterback like Drew Lock. Damon Arnett, cornerback. Some have him in the first round. Very talented cornerback. I think that the Broncos have 2 solid picks right off the bat. Troy Dye assessing their linebacker need. I think he'd easily fill that hole. Rashard Lawrence, very, very good run stuffer and getting to the quarterback. Tyler Biadasz, sorry if I butchered that one, it's hard to say. Interior offensive lineman, position of need for the Broncos, very good player there. Richie Grant adding to their secondary at that safety position. Ezra Cleveland again buffing out that offensive line. DJ Wanum, edge rusher, and then A.J. Dillon, running back 2 or 3 of the future. The Colts with the 13th pick select Jordan Love. I can't stress enough how important it is to select Jordan Love, since if they don't select a quarterback here, which I think Jordan Love's the most talented on the board at pick 13, they're going to miss out on a quarterback of the future and really not have someone to solidify that future, since there are other quarterback needy teams. Jordan Love, if he develops on the bench, has the skill set to be a top quarterback in the league. I just think that they need to draft Jordan Love with this pick. Ross Blacklock with the 34th pick, interior defensive lineman. He's a freak of nature. He's awesome at that position. Also a position of need for this Colts team. Jalen Reagor, slot wide receiver, very fast, good hands. A lot of people like him. Ben Barch, offensive tackle. That offensive line needs some work. I think Ben Barch could add to that offensive line. Same with Solomon Kinlaw, again, just protecting whoever's back there. Trayvon Hill, very talented edge rusher. Cheyenne O'Grady, a talented tight end. Reggie Robinson the second, and David Doel adding to that secondary in the Colts. The Jaguars with the 9th pick, Isaiah Simmons, linebacker. He's just such a talented player that could play any position really on this defense. If I was a defensive coordinator and had a player like Isaiah Simmons, I'd use him in every position and just have some fun with him, see where he could go. It's just really, he's really a gem for any defensive coordinator and could bring some spark to this defense that was good just a few years ago. Same with Xavier McKinney, another very talented player, safety. My favorite safety in this year's draft. I think, again, another player that could hopefully add spark to this defense. Noah Igbinyen, sorry if I butchered that one again, cornerback. Again, these 3 picks, all defense, just to lighten up that defense, which was good just a few years ago. Donovan Peoples-Jones, wide receiver. I really like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's great for this Jaguars team, which needs to take off pressure from DJ Chark. Jason Strawbridge, interior defensive lineman, very talented player. Anthony Jennings, great edge rusher, position of need. Jake Hansen, buffing out that offensive line. Antonio Gibson, a running back too. And then James Morgan. That quarterback position with the Jaguars is very difficult to tell right now. The Raiders with the 12th pick select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver. I really like CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to be a great option for whoever's the quarterback in the future for this Raiders team. CJ Henderson, very talented cornerback, did very good at Florida. Kyle Duggar, safety, again adding to that secondary. Jake Fromm, quarterback. I think they need to select a quarterback with this pick. Jake Fromm's the next best quarterback up there. Malik Harrison, that linebacker position needs work. I think that he could fill that gap there. Lakeith Fotu, sorry if I butchered that one, interior defensive lineman, very big guy. And then Alton Robinson, edge rusher, I like him out of Syracuse, very solid player there. The Steelers, the 49th pick, select Curtis Weaver, edge. I've gotten hate for them selecting a quarterback with this pick, so I won't. I'll select Curtis Weaver, very talented player. I like him. They need an edge rusher. That's their number one need. And Curtis Weaver, I think he could carry that hard load. Hunter Bryant, tight end. Another position of need is tight end. I think Hunter Bryant's a very talented player who could shine in that position. Jack Driscoll, offensive tackle. Their offensive line needs help. Jack Driscoll could help there. Chase Claypool on the 178 is perfect for this team. They need another wide receiver, and I think Claypool is the guy. And then I have him selecting quarterback at 209 in Nate Stanley. The Browns with the 10th pick select Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle. Very big and talented offensive tackle. Baker Mayfield needs a reliable guy like a Mekhi Becton, and I think that Mekhi Becton is just perfect for this Browns team. Antoine Winfield Jr., a very, very good safety. Definitely think he is a talent for this Browns team, especially because they need that safety they need a young player in that safety position. I really think that Winfield could shine on this Browns team. Jordan Brooks filling in that linebacker need, a very talented player there. Nick Harris adding to that offensive line, which is again very weak. Laurel Murchison, interior defensive lineman, a very big guy, did very well in college. Neville Clark adding to that cornerback position, and then Travis Gibson to that edge position. The Cowboys with the 17th pick, Kristian Fulton, cornerback. I've had Kristian Fulton going to the Cowboys for a while now. I like him a lot. He's a very talented player. Did very good in college. I think he could transfer that to the NFL. Raekwon Davis, very big interior defensive lineman, good run stuffer. Very talented player at that pick 51. Alohi Gilman, safety. That secondary, again, needs help. I think that he could be a solid safety pick there. Brian Edwards, wide receiver, with Amari Cooper leaving. I think he's the guy. Nick Coe, talented edge rusher. And then Josiah DeGuara with old man Witten there. You're going to need a new guy. I think Josiah DeGuara could hopefully be a tight end too. The New York Jets with the 11th pick select Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle. I can't stress enough how important this offensive line is for this draft. Sam Darnold is continuously getting pressured, and I think they need to buff out this offensive line. So I have them taking Andrew Thomas, who didn't allow a sack last year in college. I think that he's someone to rely on, as well. Matt Hennessy, interior offensive lineman, another solid player who can help protect Sam Darnold. Von Jefferson at 68, a very talented wide receiver, did insanely well in college. Bradley Anae, great edge rusher there, edge rusher position of need. Asane Basie, cornerback. Cornerback's another position of need. I think he could lock down there. Jared Pickney, tight end, another position of need. And Jared Pickney, very talented player. Darrington Evans, running back 2 pick there. And then Davian Taylor adding to that linebacker position. The Rams with the 52nd pick select Prince Tega-Wangho, offensive tackle. I really like Prince Tega-Wangho. He's a very talented offensive tackle. He's great hands. I just think he's perfect for this Rams team, protecting Jared Goff. That's, I think, their first need. Jeremy Chin, safety. Safety, another need, and I think Chin is a reliable safety. Alex Highsmith, I've heard great stuff about him. Edge rusher. I like him with this pick since edge rusher is a need. Dane Jackson, cornerback, and then Raekwon Williams, interior defensive line, just going defense with those picks. The Texans, the final team with the 57th pick, Jonathan Taylor, running back. Running back is one of their biggest position of needs, and I think that Jonathan Taylor could fill that need and be a running back one in the future for this Texans team. Jabari Zuniga, edge rusher. Edge rusher is another position need, and I think that Jabari could fill this need perfectly. Ben Bredesen, interior offensive lineman, very talented player to help protect Watson. Miles Bryant, cornerback, adding to that cornerback position. And then Robert Landers, interior defensive lineman. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my 7-round mock draft 3.0. For more mock drafts every single week, please hit that subscribe button and like the video. And I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.